By the middle of the month, you now have a clear picture of how rich you actually are. The psychology behind removing your savings first is that if you have to take more from it, you feel if you're spending from an account that has the whole of your money for the month and you're spending in week 1. In this video, I'm going to be mentioning some tips that you probably have not heard before, and every tip that I mention, I'm going to be explaining how and why it works. Have a spending account. The whole idea behind this tip is that every day, the exact amount you plan to spend for the day, have a spending account where you transfer only that amount. So the only amount in that account is the amount you can spend for that day. And what that helps to do is that it does not give you a false sense of being rich. Like if you're spending from an account that has the whole of your money for the month and you're spending in week 1, you still have a lot in the account, so you're feeling like, oh, I'm rich. You feel like you can afford some little excesses and all that. But once you have only the amount that you're supposed to spend for that day sent into the account, immediately you are spending from the account, you can clearly see that the money is reducing. And once you are done spending the amount, you can see that, oh, I have reached my limits for the day. So whatever amount now that you are spending from maybe your other accounts, you're already knowing that, okay, I'm already spending, overspending, and that helps to caution your spending. I really hope that makes sense. The next thing that I have learned to do is to delay gratification till the middle of the month. Now let me explain this. Immediately you get your payment, there's usually this urge to spoil yourself and do some things differently, maybe get yourself something new, because the money just entered your account, so you're feeling like you're rich at that moment. I'm not saying you should not spoil yourself, but just pause and wait till the middle of the month before you actually decide to go and spoil yourself or to go and indulge yourself. Why does this work, or how does this work? By the middle of the month, you now have a clear picture of how rich you actually are. You've handled maybe the major expenses for the month already, so you have a true picture of how much you actually have that is remaining. So from the amount you have that is remaining, you can now tell how much you can actually spend to spoil yourself that will not affect your finances too much. Maybe initially in the beginning of the month when you were feeling rich, you were feeling like, oh, I can spend 10,000, and you may now realize, oh, it's actually 5k I can spend on myself conveniently without it affecting my finances or affecting some other parts of the budget, and that helps you to watch your spendings. So now to the next tip. Pay yourself weekly. The one thing that I've seen that salary earners go through like a lot is by the 3rd week of the month, the money is usually exhausted. So it's usually like trying hard to survive the rest of the month. So the whole idea of paying yourself weekly is that once you have taken out money for your major expenses and all that, the remaining money, maybe that is supposed to be like for your allowance or your daily little spendings, divide it into the number of weeks for the month, maybe divide it into 4, and then schedule it. I think an app like OPay or PalmPay allows you to lock in your money and give a time to it that the money should be released. So divide the money into 4 or maybe 5, and then lock in the money separately. Schedule the money to be released every week for that month. Once you exhaust the limit for that week, if you're going to be taking money from anywhere else, you'll be a lot more cautious. And another thing is that it helps to make sure that you're not stranded. At least you know that there is little, no matter how little, there is a bit of provision for every week in that month. And that helps to survive the month with less stress and helps to check your spending habits as well. Immediately after you receive your salary or monthly payment, the first thing that you should do is to remove the amount that you wish to save. Now, note that I said wish, right? The amount that in you feel like, oh my god, if I could just save this amount from this salary, I'd be so happy. That amount, remove it first. Now, for somebody like me, I'm a Christian and I believe in paying tithes. So the first thing I usually remove is my tithe. And then immediately after that, I remove the amount that I would have loved to save. Now, that amount might not be reasonable. That amount might be like 60% of whatever that I earned. But that is the amount that I desire to save. So that's the amount I'll remove first. Now, realistically, you might not be able to get all your expenses covered by the amount remaining after removing your savings. But the psychology behind removing your savings first is that if you have to take more from it, you feel a bit bad. Like you feel like, oh my god, my savings is reducing now that I have to take a bit from the savings, and that helps to caution your spendings. I don't know if you're getting the idea. You will really watch it, like you'll be careful. You will not want to take excesses because you'll be like, see my savings reducing, that kind of thing, and that helps you to watch your spending. Now the next thing I'm going to say is stop snacking. I'm not saying totally stop snacking, but really watch your snacking habits. Yeah, instead of snacking, you can plan a proper meal, and even take meals to work if you're able to prepare something simple for yourself in the morning that you can take along to work and all that. Because the funny thing about snacking is you are almost never satisfied. Like that donut or that pie, whatever it is always tasting so nice that you always want more. So even when you've eaten and you are filled, once you buy a snack, you feel like you want to buy more, and you might think it's just a little money today, but by the time you add the whole thing together, you see that it actually counts for something. So start watching it. As I mentioned before, have a spending account that contains only the amount you need for that day. If the only amount in that account is the amount for one snack and the amount for your transport fare, for instance, once you have bought that one snack, you think twice before touching your transport fare. So that helps to caution you and watch how you spend. And now the last thing I'm going to say is try to buy things in bulk. It is always cheaper buying things in bulk than buying things one by one. And initially it might not look that way, so you might be like, it's just 10 naira, it's just 20 naira, but by the time the whole thing adds up, you see that it actually counts for something. So I don't know about other markets around the world, but in the Nigerian market, it is always cheaper, or almost always cheaper, to buy things in bulk. Yeah, I really hope that you find these tips helpful. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to the channel and give the video a thumbs up, share with somebody who needs to hear this, and yeah, I'm gonna see you in my next video. Bye.